Fliteboard or lift? This is the most popular question when it comes down to choosing a premium e-foil. And today we are finally going to answer it once and for all. We are going to do a side-by-side comparison of the two most popular e-foils on the market. Joining me today, legendary Pedro. He's a professional e-foil rider, one of the winners of the recent Flite Cup. He's riding every day and sometimes 2 times per day. Welcome, Pedro.
Oh, hello, Mike. Morning. So here we are with these two beauties in the beautiful Rábida to do the review. Everyone wants to hear about it.
Every week we see on the Facebook groups this question comes again and again. Which e-foil to choose? And you know, there are two types of e-foils. These are most expensive, high quality premium e-foils. They're a little bit more expensive. They're in the high end range, around 12,000 euros more or less, plus VAT shipping, you know how it goes. And there are a little bit cheaper e-foils like Waydo, Takuma and Powerfoil and the new foil from Jetfoil, which are in the 6,000 to 8,000 category. However, you need to understand that you get what you pay for. It's really impossible to get a premium quality, premium support, premium materials for the price half as low. So this is a very important point to explain why these two birds are so expensive.
These two brands say they don't care about the price, so they want to choose all the best materials possible to have the best performance.
Exactly, so their goal is to get you the best of the best premium service and whatever it takes. That's why they're so expensive, and soon you'll see why. But before we start our comparison, it's very important to explain that I'm not affiliated with any of these brands. So at the end of the day, we'll try to stay unbiased as possible, and it's up to you which e-foil you're going to buy. With that being said, these are our favorite boards. This is my board that I ride every day. This is Pedro's board that he rides every day. But it doesn't mean that I choose Lift over Fliteboard or vice versa. It just means that I want to try all e-foils and give you the honest and unbiased comparison. And that's the point of this video.
Yes, that's it, Mike.
Alright, let's get started. First we are going to unpack them from the bags provided and show you what's inside. Shall we?
Let's do it.
Starting with Fliteboard.
So this is the new bag for this year. Really good construction.
A lot of handles, very durable, very well done, and then it's a little bit bigger than an old bag.
It has this thermic protection. Some pads over here on the rear. It comes to with a side cushion, not here, but it comes so it can protect you more on the big trips.
And it's important also to mention you can close it without disassembling foil. It has a hole here, but same with Lift as well.
Yes, you can pack it with the mast mounted.
All right, and now let's get the wing bag out.
So this is very easy to put and take. Velcro, it's really well padded too. So, and it protects very good the wing.
Now let's unpack our Lift. It's the same premium quality bag with handles and the opening here for you to carry it with the mast assembled. Very good bag, and this year Lift is also going to introduce so-called elite bag. I don't know what it means, but probably it will have some wheels and maybe it will look even cooler. Let's see. The wings are protected with a different kind of bag. It protects both the front and the back wing together. Here you go, we got our fighters. In the blue corner we have Liftfoils E3, the professional smallest board in Liftfoils lineup. The brand new model, the brand new shape, is just released a few months ago. It's a 4.2 board, very small volume, about 54 liters, with a long 32-inch mast and 200 surf wings.
Yes, Mike, and this in the gray corner we have the new Ultra. It's a 4.2 board. It's they are the smallest e-foils in the world. Is low volume. It's only 54 liters too, and this one is equipped with 75 mast and with a new Flow 1100 wing.
Perfect. You need to understand, guys, that these are best of the best, the smallest efoils on the market. They're professional use. You're not going to learn on them. These are for already experienced riders. They have several other sizes as well. Liftfoils has 4 sizes, and Fliteboard has 3 sizes and 1 inflatable one, which is perfect for learners.
Yes, it's perfect to give lessons and to learn. This is not an easy board to learn, so I recommend it if you have like at least 6 months of riding before, and then you can ride those two beauties.
Yeah, the best is to learn on the standard Fliteboard or inflatable one or even the Pro one, and then you can upgrade. They're all interchangeable. This is the main advantage of these efoils. You can just basically stick different lengths of the mast, different size of the wings and different boards, and then you can ride and decrease the size when your skill progresses.
Yes, I definitely not recommend this board as your first board, as the learning curve will be very difficult.
Exactly. And now, before we compare all the features of these boards, let's take them to the scale station and check out their honest weight, shall we?
Let's do it, Mike.
Starting with Fliteboard. Let's check the weight of Fliteboard, fully set up without the battery.
Well, this weighs 17 kilograms.
Perfect. Now the full weight of Liftfoils without the battery.
18.
We got to conclusion that the weight of this board is similar, but the difference in weight distribution is very different. Fliteboard mast is made from aluminium, so it's a little bit heavy on the mast side, but Liftfoils mast is made of carbon fiber. It's lighter, but it has more weight inside the board itself. It's a very important difference when you ride, when you carry the board. It's very important to understand this. Now, before we compare all the features of these two boards, it's important to explain you how they got to the market. It was the journey completely different for them. Liftfoils was founded by Nick Leeson and his team about 10 years ago, and this company was doing professional foils for the kite foiling, foil surfing, wing foiling. So first it was nothing about efoils, it was just professional foils for the market. Efoils didn't even exist. So when they got the idea of motorizing the foils, they basically added the engine to the existing boards, the existing lineup of the wings they had, the existing mast, and that's how the original Liftfoils got to the market. On the other hand, the journey of Fliteboard was completely different. It's a newer company founded by David and his team in Australia. We had a full interview with them as well, and they had a vision of making efoil from the start. It was made from scratch. They didn't have a history of foiling sports. They invested a lot of millions in research and development, and everything you see here was done from scratch with the purpose of making efoil in mind. So while Liftfoils is an interchangeable system, you can use the same wings, for example, for your traditional foiling board or for your wing foiling. Here, on the other hand, we have only efoil, so there are no other boards they have. They're only focusing on efoils, and this is the biggest difference, which explains the engineering solutions that we see here. So the most obvious one is the effective length of the mast. Now, if we compare the length of the mast, they're very different. As you can see, Fliteboard has 75 centimeter mast, and the effective length of the mast is full. It's from here to here. You can only foil till you breach your propeller. Now, a Liftfoils effective mast is from here till here. However, the full length is longer. It's not 75, it's about 32 inch, which is 81 centimeters. So basically, the effective length of the mast is same on Liftfoils and Fliteboard. Another big difference you have here is so-called unified fuselage that Fliteboard introduced. As you can see, the propeller is aligned with the front wing, which makes it really stable, really smooth experience when it comes down to efoiling. While here, the propeller is higher than the front wing, which might create small turbulences, like they say, and makes the riding less stable. However, I'll be honest with you, from the rider point of view, the difference is not that significant, so it's not going to be so shaky compared to this one. So this is more like a marketing advantage rather than advantage in the riding style. Pedro, you tried Efoils with this kind of propeller before. I think Takuma has also this kind of setup. What do you think the difference of the riding experience compared to using unified fuselage?
Well, in my own experience, I think it's more stable when you breach. It's easier to recover when you breach with this solution. But I have ridden the two boards with other sizes, but in the normal riding you don't feel nothing different.
Yeah. So the bottom line, it's easier to recover with this kind of unified fuselage when you're breaching. But then again, if you're a professional Liftfoiler, it rarely happens.
Yeah, you never breach.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, there is no big difference in the riding experience, despite such a big difference visually in these two different setups. As you can see, both engines have the same kind of size and very low noise levels. However, Fliteboard noise is more like a high pitch, like you know, and Liftfoils is a low pitch, like but they're quite noiseless, especially on a windy day. You barely hear anything. Look at this, guys, noise levels. It's almost non-existent. You can have a conversation without any problem.
Yeah, the engines are not so noisy as the other ones. You can just have a conversation here, no problem at all.
Both of them have virtual gears which you can control using your remote control. Fliteboard has a gearbox, while Liftfoils is a direct drive. But then again, there is no difference in the riding experience, so this doesn't really matter for the rider. The big difference comes with the material that the mast is made. Fliteboard mast is made of premium aluminium, which is very strong, very lightweight and very sturdy. I've never seen a single problem of people having with Fliteboard. They hit the sandbanks, they hit the rocks. I've never seen anybody saying that the mast broke or the mast bent. This is very high quality material. Liftfoil mast is also high quality, but it's made of carbon fiber, which is lightweight, but it can snap. So we saw several people snap their mast when it hit the sandbank. However, it rarely happens as well. The main advantage of aluminium is that you don't need any cooling system. Aluminium itself absorbs the heat. That's why you don't have any cooling pipes here. It's a very well designed idea. There is no cooling system basically. The mast itself acts like a one. Here inside this mast we also have a cooling pipes which go from here up to inside the board and cools down everything here, and then it comes out of here. So we need a cooling system in Liftfoils for this reason. And if you think that this is much better in all the ways, I can say that there is one big disadvantage. Aluminium is a metal and it's very sharp, so the back part of this mast is almost sharp as a knife, while this one is very soft. You can see I can hit myself, nothing will happen, but if I do the same and strongly, I can cut myself pretty easily. And I think it's way too sharp, and it's unnecessary too sharp. In my opinion, you can make it smoother. It will not going to reduce effectiveness of the ride that much. But for my opinion, it's pretty sharp. It's hard to carry, especially when you're carrying it to the water from the car. I always use my gloves. And this one is very soft. There's no problem. What do you think, Pedro?
Well, I usually always grab to the engine part. I barely never grab the mast, or when I grab it from the front, and from the front, as you can see, it's very round, so it's not sharp. Only in the back you have to be careful because it's sharp in the back.
Alright, now let's get to the wings. As you can see, Liftfoils wings, they're unified. The front wing and the back, they are on the same axis together, and they're basically the same wings, like I said, that you use in the foil surfing. They're interchangeable. You can put them on all the boards you have. And Liftfoils is known for their professional wings. They have also the Surf series and high aspect wings, which are wider and easier to glide. The main advantage, in my opinion, is that they're very round, they're not pointy, not very sharp. Again, you're not going to hurt yourself that much if you fall on the wings. They're pretty soft on the edges. Fliteboard wings are optimized for maximum performance, maximum speed, but they're a little bit too sharp in my opinion. again you get better results in foiling, but you better don't fall on those sharp wings.
It's always better not to fall in the wings.
Exactly. The big difference is here the wings are not aligned. The stabilizer wing is lower, and it works with a system called shim. They have positive shims and some negative shims, which you put inside here, and they adjust the angle of attack. So basically helps you adjust the way you ride it, how much pressure you get on the nose. On Liftfoils there is no such system. We just trust they had best in their mind when they were creating wings, so we just trust it's already the best setup. There is nothing to adjust, you just buy the wings you have. For example, I got 200 surf wing, and I'm planning to get high aspect ratio wing as well. Here you see the full difference in the wings configuration. What kind of wings Fliteboard is offering?
Well, now this is the new wing from this year. It's the Flow 1100. For me it's my favorite. It's like an all-around wing. As you can see, it's high aspect on the tips, and it's low aspect here more on the center. So it does everything very good. It curves well, it's stable, it's perfect for the waves, and you can even pump. It's really easy to pump with it.
So and I'm getting similar wing next week for Liftfoils as well, which should be easier to use in the surf. Now we're going to compare the propellers we have. Both of us are not using the standard propellers with the prop guard, which is big, bulky, and basically is needed just for beginners. When you remove the prop guard, you have to be understanding what you're doing. You have to be an experienced Efoils, because you don't want to fall on this sharp propeller, obviously. When you remove the prop guard, you get about 20 to 25% boost in your speed, and it's also much easier to carve. There's nothing preventing you from using the full power. What about the changes in autonomy when you remove the prop guard?
Well, you gain at least another 50%. It's really different when you take the propeller guard and you put the pro tail cone. Well, but you have to be a good rider.
Yesterday you said you were riding for how long?
Yesterday I'm using the sport battery. It's a smaller battery, and I hit half of the battery when I was riding for 54 minutes, so it's really a big advantage.
Yeah, and the full battery can give you almost up to 2 hours riding time. It's more than you basically need. And very important to say that you can even extend the battery life if you're using so-called folding prop, like here in my case of Liftfoils. This prop allows you to drop the power completely when you're using the power of the wave, and then the prop folds like this, and it's reducing all the drag. Then you can use the power of the wave to glide, and then you can extend your riding time significantly. You can pump, you can follow the swell. It's amazing prop, and I really love it. And in case of Fliteboard, we have a true glide prop. Tell me more about this.
Yes, I'm still waiting for the true glide prop because it's not available here in Europe right now. So it works like it frees the propeller, and when you let go the trigger, the engine turns off, and the propeller runs freely.
Yeah, it's using the free bearing, so it just keeps on spinning using the power of the wave. So it's completely different idea. I'm still looking forward to try True Glide in future, but I already tried folding prop and I really love it. It's also smaller, it's less intimidating compared to the standard prop, which is 3-blade prop, and this is just 2-blade prop. It's smaller, it's foldable, it's not going to cut your hands, it's very soft. You can touch it, nothing happens. This one is a little bit more pointy, so you have to be careful with this one. Especially you don't want to put your legs anywhere near this prop.
Yes, for sure not.
Let's check out what's inside the board. You can see the difference here is significant. In case of Liftfoils, all the electronics is right here. It's a very complicated and convoluted system. We have 3 power cables, we have a data cable, we have a cooling cable, and honestly that's really too much, because the more connector points you have, the more breaking points you have. And we see on the forum, there was a guy, for example, one of the pins in this connector snapped, and there are a lot of pins here. and then he cannot use the board just because of one simple silly pin on the data connector. What about Fliteboard?
Well, this is the Fliteboard Series 2. They did a great job this year. They took the data cable so they could put all the electronics on a small box that is mounted on the mast, and as you can see here, you only have two cables, the positive and the negative, to connect the battery. So it's really simple, very easy to connect and disconnect. I think it's the best solution.
Yeah, here we need to be honest, Fliteboard engineering is much better in this part. There is nothing to break, just two simple connectors, they're covered with rubber, there are no pins. Very simple solution. And another advantage, they have lights here on the flight box, so you can see the battery charge. In case of Liftfoils, there are no lights, so we cannot know the battery charge except for checking on the remote.
And another big advantage for the new Series 2 is we don't have anymore the magnets on the front to start your board. So now you don't need to put the remote on the front to start your engine. You just click on the trigger, one click on the minus, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, that's very good. And Liftfoils never had the magnets, so that's not a problem for them. Another advantage for Fliteboard here is all electronics are inside the flight box, which is mounted on the mast. So when you're taking out your mast, there are no electronics staying in your board, which makes also your board lighter and easier to transport and easier to interchange if you want to change different sizes. One more advantage that Fliteboard Ultra has, the surface of the board is prepared for you to install the bindings like this. You can mount them based on the templates, and then you can do additional tricks like jumping or maybe flips, 300 rotations, and crazy stuff.
The waves.
Another idea they have for the waves is the position to attach the leash right here, which Liftfoils doesn't have. However, I'm still using the coiled leash. With my Liftfoils, I'm attaching it to the side handle. Where are you going to put your straps?
Well, I'm still studying my sweet spot on the board, because I only have this board for 2 weeks. So I'm still studying, but probably I'm going to put the neutral spot.
It's very hard to say if you need bindings or not, because this is a new sport, there is no history. However, we know in kite foiling, for example, almost everybody is using the bindings, so this is nothing special, right?
For doing some tricks, you need bindings. If you want to jump with the board, you need bindings.
Yeah, so if you're advanced rider and you're really obsessed about jumping, then you definitely need to get bindings for your board. But we saw some professional Fliteboard users are also using the board without bindings as well. So this is just a personal preferences. This is not definitely the best for everyone. Now let's compare the batteries. Liftfoils has only one type of batteries for now, which is 13 kilograms, 48 volts, 2.1 kilowatts. But they're going to introduce the half battery in future, which is supposed to be lighter, and I really hope they'll introduce this, because carrying this kind of battery is too hard, and honestly I don't need so much riding time, especially with the folding prop. You can use the power of the weight and ride forever. So what batteries does Fliteboard offer?
Well, Mike, now I'm using this new sport battery. It's only 8 kilograms, 13 amperes volt, 50 volts.
And they also have the bigger Explore battery, which gives you even more riding time.
Yes, it has more, 10 amperes hour.
Yeah. Both batteries are well made, they're waterproof, they have power cables and the data cables. They also have the indicators of the charge. You can check out the charge. In case of Fliteboard, there is also a little window, so you can see if any water got inside over here. It's very easy to understand, but it never happened to me, and I've never seen anybody complaining about this. It also has a data port, which is not for users. This is for a service center to service and upgrade your battery. In case of Liftfoils, we also have obviously data cable and 2 power cables, which helps you to use and upgrade and charge the board. It takes about 2 hours to charge, and it gives you about 1.5 up to 2 hours of riding time. Let's put them in. In case of Fliteboard, you simply put it in and connect 2 power cables. That's pretty much it. The board is ready to go. You can close it. In case of Liftfoils, we are going first connect the power cables right here. Then we are going to connect the data cable. And we need to be very careful not to break the pins. It's also very advisable to use the relax on all the contacts here so they're not corroding. And finally, we're going to turn this so the battery is fully secured. Everything is ready and we can start the board by pressing this button. The board is armed and ready to go. Let's bring the remote. I know our video gets quite long, but we really want to do in-depth comparison for you, covering every single detail. So finally, let's compare our remotes. The main advantage of Liftfoil remotes is that it's powered by two simple AA batteries, which means you have enough charge for the whole season. You don't need to charge your remote control, which is the main pain when it comes down to efoiling. We come to the beach and then we realize our remote control is not charged. And then you don't know what you're going to do because the charger is very special. You cannot just charge it on the beach. In case of Fliteboard, you have to charge your remote. And how many rides do you get with it?
Well, I can have about 20 rides per charge, and I can charge it with a USB charger.
Yeah, you can charge it in your car, for example. It's quite easy. You can see Fliteboard remote is sleek, it's small, and its handle is very short, so when you start in the board it's not going to stick out and hit your board. In my case it's way too big, way too bulky. Honestly, I'm not a big fan that it's so big. You see, it's way too long as well. You're going to hit your board when you're starting, especially on a board that is so small.
And when you are a beginner, you usually, when you climb to your board, you use the remote, and many times you scratch your board with a remote.
Yeah,
that's why Fliteboard did it short.
So this remote is old and not that great, to be honest, but I have great news for all Liftfoils fans. This year Nick is going to introduce the new Elite remote, which is going to be lighter. It will have a color screen, GPS and adjustable trigger, which is super exciting, and I think it will be on par with Fliteboard remote as well.
And both of the remotes have virtual gears, and both of them floats.
Yeah, that's quite helpful.
Yeah.
Finally, let's compare the shape of the board itself, the hull. It's very different, as you can see. In case of Liftfoils, it's more pointy and it's more narrow in front. In case of Fliteboard, it's very rounded. It's like iPhone, very smooth, and I think it has more volume in the middle and bigger and rounder front part.
Yes, you have a bigger volume here, so to start to taking off much easier. And as you can see, the front is round on the Fliteboard. On Lift it's cutted.
I have been riding this board for a while now, and what I really love about this new shape is that it's not sticking to the water surface when you go lower and touch the surface. This is the main advantage of the new E3 Liftfoils compared to the old models they have. That's
one of the things I really like it on the Ultra, because it has some more volume here in the middle, and when you touch the water it comes out again, so it's very easy and doesn't stick on the water as the models before.
It's good to note also that despite similar board size, Lift has more flotation due to the bigger volume of the air in the battery compartment, which makes it easier to sit on the board and get planing. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed our in-depth comparison. We tried to stay unbiased as possible as we could, and I hope you will make your educated decision which board to buy. And my final advice for you: there is no best board that fits everyone. The best advice is to try before you buy. Find your local dealer, take the lesson, and then compare them yourself. See which board is offered in your country. In some countries Lift is better introduced, in other countries it's easier to get Fliteboard. There is no point for you to wait for many more weeks getting exactly one board. If you have a dealer nearby, just go to them, take a lesson and buy right away. So enjoy your season, no need to waste time.
Yes. So Mike, let's take these two videos to the water and let's go to the water.
Let's go. Here you go, guys, finally it happened. I'm riding Fliteboard Ultra. And if you've never tried efoiling before, make sure to take a lesson and give it a go. It will definitely put a smile on your face. Here we come, guys. Liftfoil. Powerful, fast, built to last. I'm loving it. We just switched the boards. I had my first ride on Fliteboard Ultra and Pedro's first ride on Lift. First impressions, Pedro?
Well, this is a great machine. They are both great machines and wonderful pieces of engineering. Both brands I think they are perfect boards. So you have to try it for yourself.
What differences in riding experience did you notice?
Well, in the beginning I thought this one was a little bit more unstable, but after you get the point, well, it's perfectly stable, good on waves, good on flat water, carves really well, so it's really awesome too.
As for me, it was really fun to try Fliteboard Ultra. It was a little bit harder to get started. It's different feeling adjusting the speeds, but you need to notice the wing is much wider. It's high aspect ratio wing, and it gives you so much stability when you're already foiling. It's smooth, it carves like through the bottom. It's very stable, and I think it's even more stable than the one I have with Lift. That's why I'm going to get high aspect ratio wing for my Lift as well very soon.
Yes, that's it. As once as you try the high aspect wings, you don't want to come back to the low aspect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how did you find the folding prop? Did you notice any difference?
No, I was concerned in the beginning because I thought it was a little bit more sluggish in the beginning, but no, it seems like a normal propeller.
Yeah, it pretty much feels the same as 3-blade propeller.
Yeah.
I don't notice any difference when I'm riding. Very fun boards, guys. You really have to try them all, see which one works for you, but you cannot go wrong with any of them. Top choice.
Yes. Let's go.
So we just completed the full range test, riding till 10% on my Liftfoils. And what distance did we make, Pedro?
Well, we did 25.4 kilometers in 76 minutes. I still have 26% of my battery.
But we need to say that I'm a little bit heavier than Pedro, so both boards have more or less same riding time.
Yeah, okay.
It was really fun, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you found our long, in-depth video comparison really helpful. Let me know in the comments below which board you are going to get and why. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye guys.
Keep on riding. Cheers.